Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the 107 podcast with myself, Jacob, and my co-host, Ash, where we have just watched a Bull see red in Barcelona after the very late incident with Max and George and the Barcelona GP. It was a decent enough race and then sort of exploded towards the end thanks to the centre of the drama, Max, kind of throwing his toys out of the pram. I mean, there's no other way to put it, right? I mean, does that sound right to you, or do you have a completely different opinion?
I wouldn't say it's completely different. I understand his rage.
I can see
like,
some.
But you don't deliberately drive into anyone. Doesn't matter how angry you are.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what's happened, what your team's told you, what you think is right, what you think is wrong. You do not deliberately drive into someone, and I'm really surprised at how lenient that penalty was.
That penalty was very lenient, considering that Schumacher was banned from a championship altogether for directly driving into somebody a few years ago. So, I mean, this is a different circumstances, of course, but this is very lenient. I was expecting 30-second penalty or even worse, like black flag. I think, didn't Nico on the Sky Sports, I didn't hear it live, didn't Nico Rosberg on Sky Sports say that was a black flag, like that was bad?
Yeah, Nico said he should have been black flagged for that. Yeah. But yeah, it was we saw two sides of Max in 3 weeks, right?
Yeah.
We saw the great Imola overtake, and then we saw him just absolutely lose it, kind of thing.
I haven't seen the onboard though. Did they show it on Sky Sports or no? Max is on board.
They probably have it somewhere. The only thing that
because they showed George's, so why wouldn't they show Max's? You know,
I don't know. Remember they have that weird thing. Sometimes they don't always have the onboards, which is really
so weird. Yeah.
So
no idea why.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, safety car spiced up that race.
It did. It really did. I thought the race was okay. It wasn't amazing. It wasn't boring. It was decent enough. There were some bits and pieces going on in the midfield. But before we get too bogged down with who overtook who and who really deserved driver of the day, or my driver of the day, for Barcelona.
You could tell that driver of the day was a joke.
That was brilliant. Driver of the day started 3rd, finished 10th. But no, so two bits of housekeeping we need to get out of the way. First of all, happy birthday, Martin Brundle. He is 66 today, so happy birthday to him. I know he's a big fan of the show, so I just want to shout him out. And then also, we didn't do a Monaco episode, so just your thoughts on Monaco super quick before we jump into Barcelona.
I like that they tried something new. With the 2 pit stops, but there's a reason why Formula One hire the best in the business, and they're like, well, we can just game the system, and the Racing Bulls and the Williams basically did just game the system. So I think maybe next year they should just do it within certain laps.
Yeah, maybe. Or like I said, they have to use all 3 compounds.
That was the thing. They did use all 3 compounds.
No, they didn't have to. They had to have 2 pit stops.
Are you sure?
Yep.
I thought that was the thing.
2 pit stops. It was not 3 compounds. It was only the 2.
That's what they were saying. That's what they were saying on the commentary, that they had to use all 3 compounds. So maybe Google that while you.
Maybe that's a Sky Sports thing. Or because they did not mention that at all on F1 TV. They just said they have to make 2 mandatory pit stops. That was it. Nothing about using specific compounds. No, nothing. But I didn't watch the race live. I was at a wedding, so I watched the race in 30, which is like an F1 TV thing where they wrap it up in 30 minutes. And I thought it was mediocre, to be honest. The whole weekend was pretty mediocre. But Lando had arguably a pretty good weekend other than the first corner of the race. All he had to do is lead. So I think that was pretty good, but there was no other drama. And obviously Lance Stroll, Alonso's bad luck sort of ran through into Monaco, and he didn't finish in the points again. And so that was the only other thing off the top of my head, other than George Russell's crash out at the end of the race in the post-race interviews, where he was like, I think everyone should have sprinklers and the drivers can activate the sprinklers, but only once during a weekend. What the fuck are you what are you on about, George? What?
So
That was Bernie's idea.
Really? No. This is like, again, this is why things are really not clear. This is your rule, by the way. It's not a 2 pit stop rule. So the rule does not necessarily mean that teams are required to make 2 pit stops. It states that drivers must use 3 different sets of tires.
Huh. But different sets, not different compounds.
I guess, yeah.
So therefore,
I don't know. Either way, everyone got confused, but you had to do 2 pit stops, and they gamed the system, and it just caused weird racing. It wasn't fun or interesting. It was just weird.
No, I also thought it was weird that. Sorry if you're here for Barcelona chat, by the way. I also thought it was weird that James Vowles text Toto saying, "I'm sorry" for them backing up the Mercedes cars.
He doesn't have to apologize for
doing
anything.
his job. Shut up, James. Like, seriously, like, that was all fine.
Well, at least they tried something. They know it doesn't work.
They give it a go.
If they can try something different next year and say, "Oh, we learnt this. Maybe we do it within certain laps."
Yeah, maybe.
Like
let's wait and see.
Good on Lando for putting it on pole.
Yeah,
and winning, considering all the criticism he gets for really nothing. And Oscar didn't have the best weekend. So
no, he did not. No, he I saw a quote which I think I shared also on the podcast Instagram, and if you haven't followed us on Instagram, please do so, because we're on Instagram and we're doing all right over there. And also like and follow the podcast on your preferred podcast platforms. But so with the quote that I saw, it was something along the lines of, "Are we starting to see the cracks in his like armor or ice, or are we starting to see him melt?" And I'm like, it was one race where he didn't put it on pole. Calm down. And he immediately put it on pole in Barcelona.
Everyone has to be outrageous for the clickbait. That's it.
Rage bait, I think I saw somebody call that quote, which I was like, yeah, that's coming up towards rage bait. That's, ridiculous.
Yeah.
But that leads us quite nicely into Barcelona.
But there was rage bait.
Where there was some rage, that's for sure. I mean, we'll kick off maybe with quali, because there are a couple of moments from quali that I would like to highlight. I don't know about you. Colapinto, some sort of gearbox transmission, can't remember exactly what it was, but some issue where he couldn't get qualifying. So his 3rd of 5 apparently races didn't go particularly, or didn't have the best start to the weekend. And then obviously Yuki, I don't know what on earth happened to Yuki. No idea.
Whatever setup they're running, whatever they're doing is just clearly not working for him, unfortunately.
That second seat just really is cursed. There's no other way about it. And genuinely, without Max, they are a back of the midfield team.
Yeah, I hope they give Yuki time.
I think they kind of have to.
Like, most drivers would have had the pre-season testing to get a lot of miles in and work out how they want the car and what works and what doesn't. So he's literally doing this in a way live, right? He doesn't really get the opportunity to make mistakes and say, "Hey, that didn't work." It's like, okay, we'll change this and go out and do like 30 or 40 laps and see what it's like. So shame, but maybe the little break will help him.
Maybe. We will have to wait and see. I also don't know what Yuki's luck is like in, like, Canada or anything. So I don't know how well he usually does there, or if it's like a bogey track for him or anything. So we will see.
We will. It's a different track to Monaco in Spain as well.
Oh yeah, 100%. Very different. So different. My brain went to say difficult and different at the same time. Always works. But yeah, those were the only 2 moments from quali that for me I was like, these are worth talking about. But was there anything else for you?
Only Lance Stroll.
Yeah, so for me that's not really a quali thing. That's more of just an overall weekend thing. But we can jump into that.
But he was like half a second off Fernando, which is a huge amount. And then you found out why, which is he's still having pain in his hands and wrists, and apparently like he was really, really angry after quali.
Apparently,
I don't know if it was his performance or the fact that like the pain just got to him and he knows he can't race because he'll miss his home race if they.
By the looks of things, yeah. So by the looks of things, Aston Martin are in a bit of a sticky one still. So
all right, big man.
So I speak the language of the youth. But so their reserve drivers are racing at Le Mans.
Well,
so apparently, if he's not up for it, Valtteri Bottas will be stepping in.
Ah, that'd be cool.
Apparently, that's the latest rumor that I've heard.
Really?
So that's the rumor right now.
So you're saying that Drugovich and Van Dorn are at Le Mans?
I think both of them are, and I think maybe hold on, Crawford might also. I can't actually remember. I did see it on Instagram, I think it was, saying that like essentially like their reserve drivers are both busy at Le Mans. Like, you know, let me double check. Aston Martin.
Yeah, because I thought Drugovich would just step in.
But I don't know if Stoffel Van Dorn. So is Stoffel Van Dorn Le Mans? Let's just see if he seems to be participating at Le Mans this week. Not next weekend, a weekend after. He seems to be.
All right, well, I'm sure someone will be in that seat. I don't think they're going to be hard pressed to find someone to jump in.
It looks like he's driving for Peugeot.
Oh.
Yeah, Stoffel Van Dorn. Yeah, driving for Peugeot. So he's not around. Drugovich, don't know about him, but you know. But so yeah, it looks like their reserve drivers are all off busy, but I don't think that Valtteri Bottas is busy, so he might be available. Because McLaren and Aston Martin can use Mercedes as reserve drivers, and Mercedes can use there's like a deal or something. I don't know the exact details of it, but I know that they can use Mercedes reserves as is. So Frederick Vesti might be in with a shout as well if for some reason they don't want Bottas. You'd go with Bottas, but you know. Yeah. So at this rate, we obviously don't know. Lance could turn around and go, you know what? It's my home Grand Prix. I'll push through the pain like an idiot. But I mean, we'll wait and see. Not like an idiot, but by the sounds of things, and this brings us back maybe a little bit more. I seem to remember when he did have the surgery, there was trouble finding the right surgeon because a lot of surgeons or some surgeons said that they wouldn't be able to heal it or deal with it properly. So maybe this is the result of the surgery not going well enough or something. I honestly don't know. But it was also weird at the beginning of the race, Barcelona today. Behrman said, yeah, I heard he's been having some pain in his wrists. So the other drivers seemingly or the way that Behrman sort of described it, the other drivers have been aware of this, potentially. I'm not saying that they are or they aren't, but it leaned towards that notion. So maybe it's something he's been dealing with for a while and has been expressing to the other drivers and stuff as well. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure, but I mean, it seems to lean that way. But God knows what's going to happen. Couldn't tell you.
We'll just find out in Canada in a couple of weeks.
We will. I would imagine that they probably announce it the week of Canada, like Monday, Tuesday, if he's not going to participate. Probably, but we will wait and see what happens. But obviously, hopefully he does participate because he's fully recovered, but probably not if it's enough that you can't participate in a Grand Prix to come back within 2 weeks and race.
I mean, he's just making the same mistake he made last time.
Potentially.
Right. So,
yeah.
So just let it heal and then just come back and hopefully you'll be pain free for the rest of the season.
Fingers crossed, yeah. But so moving on to Barcelona, what did you think overall of the race?
3 out of 5.
3 out of 2.5, 3 out of 5, yeah.
Interesting start. Unfortunately, Lando got overtaken by Max, which probably stopped us from having a McLaren battle.
Yeah.
And then it kind of just dipped towards the end as people were messing around with 2 or 3 stop strategies. And then once the safety car came in, it really spiced up the race.
Yeah.
And yeah, feels Lewis just wasn't on that.
He wasn't on it, was he? No.
Yeah.
I think I'll talk pre safety car first. There was a couple of I was surprised that Sainz fell backwards as quickly as he did, and it was a shame to see Albon retire. I feel as though even before the safety car, Nico made up 5 places at the start, which was ridiculous. And the start from Lando again just wasn't great at all. It very clearly is his Achilles heel. It's just these race starts. He's just not great at them at all. But Oscar did everything he needed to do. He had a faultless race, and ran away with it. And without that safety car, he would have won by an even bigger margin, obviously. So don't let the margin of, what was it, like 3 or 4 seconds, not flatter his performance, for sure. But Max also did very well to get in front of Lando. So there is that. And the other statistic that I saw was that that, you know, we're saying like, oh, Monaco, it matters who's on pole a lot more, blah, 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 blah. Actually, this circuit, Catalonia, has the best pole to win conversion of any Grand Prix on the calendar. I think it's 71 or 74% of all races are won by the person who's on pole. And I think Monaco is like 55, 60 or something. There was a statistic that I did see. But it was a lot lower down than you thought. I think that might also be taking into account, you know, like Monaco Grand Prix from, you know, the 1800s, where if you walked, you could probably beat cars because they'd all break down by the time you get to the finish line. But you know what I mean? Like, statistically, yeah, Spain is pretty high for pole conversion, let's say.
I can understand Monaco because it's easy to crash.
And that, yeah.
But Spain, yeah,
pretty high.
It's always been hard to overtake there. So, which is improved. And they changed the chicane, didn't they? So that improved a lot of overtakes.
Yeah,
so
changing the chicane kind of to help. Yeah. I was very surprised at how high deg the track was. Like, that hard not being used at all other than by Max was very strange to see. Wasn't expecting that, especially compared to last year. I don't remember it being that crazy with pit stops either. Do you remember it being that crazy or no?
No, it was just once Max got past George, it was pretty much a procession.
Exactly, yeah. But I mean, that was most of last year. But yeah, I don't know. It was a good enough, not amazing, not terrible race up until the safety car.
Spain very rarely produces great races.
Yeah. And I think that without that safety car, we would have said exactly the same thing. We would have come on here and we would have gone, well, you know, it was an okay race.
Not too much to talk about.
Not too much to talk about. And we'll talk about Lance's wrists. But with this one, and as much as I disagree with how Max behaved, it did provide a lot of entertainment for sure.
Yeah, it did.
So
Max is single-handedly providing the entertainment in this championship, either by winning races
at this
and
point,
putting it on the McLarens, or just like, I got to give everyone something to talk about.
He's in the mix for sure. I will also I don't want to say defend, but I will also say the idea to go for a 3-stop clearly worked pretty well. And had maybe Max not pitted and tried to make it to the end on softs, the race obviously would have been very different. It would have been a tall order to go that far on some softs from when the safety car came out to the end of the race. Hards was definitely an odd choice for that, for sure. But so with all of
that, they had left.
Yeah, it's all they had left, which is crazy as well. But like, I like that somebody went, you know what? Let's try a 3-stop. Let's give it a go, because you could see the chunk of time being etched away from the McLarens as well. So that was definitely interesting to see, even before safety car. But yeah, post safety car, like Max almost losing it coming out of that final corner was ridiculous. Such fantastic car control to keep it in a straight line. Then the contact with Charles. Let's go through it blow by blow. For you, the contact with Charles, what are your thoughts on that while I sip at my tea?
You like that Reddit post, sips tea. I call it racing. I call it racing.
If it's rubbing, it's racing.
Yeah,
you know,
it was Charles that came over onto him.
True.
It wasn't Max. It wasn't Max in that. Both trying to get the slipstream.
They were both trying to get the slipstream to stay off of the like marbles as well.
Yeah.
So
I'd say that's a racing incident. It didn't really affect anyone's race. Charles was faster at that point because of Max's save. So yeah, I'd give it a racing incident. I can see why Max would be aggrieved.
Oh yeah, 100%,
I'd make that a racing incident.
In the fog of war, I can understand why Max would have been annoyed, right?
Yeah.
I imagine that had nothing else happened for the rest of the race, I imagine that Max would have got out of the car, saw the replay and gone, yeah, all right, I can, yeah, it wouldn't have, it's not that bad, you know. Bit pissed, but like, okay, maybe with hindsight, sure. Then Russell George enters the fray. I don't know if you saw, but the review because that incident was under review, and the stewards said no further investigation. They were like, no, George pushed him off. Max rejoined ahead. That's fine. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, you did see that result. Okay.
Yeah, they put it in the stewards document that if they had investigated it, they would have said no further action.
Yeah.
Because George essentially lost control of the car and hit into Max, but because Max ended up ahead by following their rules and all that, they were like, well, you know what? He's got an advantage.
To do.
Yeah, and he's ended up ahead, right? He's not lost a position. So I think that's fair, right? And I think that would have been a fair call to make.
Yeah, I think that, again, to be honest with you, racing incident.
Yeah, that was it. He was entitled to go for it. It was his corner, but he lost control because he's behind Charles.
Then GP jumping on the radio.
That's where...
That was the final nail in the coffin, I think. Because
that was interesting. I would have just let it go to the stewards.
Yeah.
Because them telling him to give it back, especially... Okay, it's kind of difficult to make decisions when things are going that fast.
True.
And they've risked it before. Like I said, him telling him, you know, when someone's really angry and you tell them to calm down,
yeah,
and it just makes them even more angry.
What do you mean, calm down? Yeah,
I am calm.
Yeah,
right.
I don't need to calm down.
That was exactly what it's like. We said, so give back the position. It's like, what?
What do you
just rammed me off the road?
Yeah. No, So I think Max was fine, pitted. Why have you put me on the hards?
Yeah.
Problem one. Almost losing the car and shitting his pants during the restart. Problem two. Then the problem three was with Charles, and then he was angry, right? Then he was like, oh, this is bad. Then George pushes him wide. Oh, I'm pissed. Then GP tells him to hand the position back. 5 things within, 2 minutes? That would have annoyed most people. Exactly. So it just boiled over, and then obviously we saw quite clearly Max hit into George.
Yeah. That was bad.
I can't defend it.
That's bad.
There's no way you can defend that. And it was quite interesting, genuinely. And for me, I like Max. I am a Max fan, he says, supporting McLaren. But for me, it was very funny seeing all of the Max Verstappen fans in all of the comments. And I went to different platforms defending Max for his behaviour. And I'm like, what is going on? What do you mean George was at fault? At fault for what? Like, yes, he pushed him wide, but I mean, that, you know, Max took evading action. And
how many incidents have we seen where drivers get pushed wide, right? Max doesn't involved in a lot of them.
What he did.
And then it says like, okay, so I'm just going to ram into him every time.
I saw one person said Max runs over a puppy. Max fans stop crying. Like that's the level of like what the hell is going on for the whole incident. It was crazy. I remember watching it and go literally. I watched it as he hit into him. I went fuck off because you don't expect that at all. And the crazy thing is now as well, I don't know if you knew this, Max is now 1 penalty point away from a race ban.
Yeah, he's got 11. But it resets. It resets on the 30th of June, so I think he's got 2 races not to get a point, which is Canada and Austria.
But you never know.
Yeah.
You never know. Also, I don't think it doesn't fully reset, does it? It only takes off what you've accrued with
probably
months.
What you've done. Yeah, so anything 12 months ago from that day.
So he might get like 5 taken off rather than all 11 or whatever it is. I don't know.
Yeah. It won't just reset. Otherwise, drivers would be like, fuck it, let's just go for it before our renewal date.
Yeah. Oh, well, if it's before the 30th and we've got Austria, we might as well fucking do whatever we like.
Yeah, it was 10 seconds and 3 penalty points. Yeah, Lewis would be like, just ram into anyone.
Yeah, well, he did
that. I'll just ram into.
So he did that at Silverstone. So
no. There is a deeper issue here, which is Max got 10-second time penalty and 3 penalty points for doing that, right? For deliberately causing that collision.
Yeah.
What if you are the McLarens and you are 20 seconds ahead of the rest of the pack, and Lando's like, fuck it, I'm just going to dive bomb Oscar and push him off. I'll build a 10-second gap because he goes in the gravel. Yeah, I'll get 3 penalty points, but guess what? I win the race. And what's the precedent from the last race?
Exactly that. That you could argue that anything that wasn't equivalent to that could be seen as not carrying on, like not in keeping with previous rule violations. So I'm surprised it was that lenient. I was expecting a 30-second, like 15 to 30-second penalty at least, if not
Vettel got flagged. Was it 10 seconds stop and go? So he had to come into the pit lane at pit lane speed, stop for 10 seconds, go out at pit lane speed. So that's really what, 20 or 30 seconds?
Pit lane loss is like, it depends on the track, but it's 25 to 30 seconds. So it's 35 to 40 seconds. More.
There you go. And you got a 10-second timer. The only thing that also probably make it hurt a lot more is because it was a safety car, a lot of the drivers were within that 10-second window. So, if it was pre-safety car, it might have dropped from like 3 or 4 places maybe.
Yeah. But like the crazy thing is as well, bear with me on this, right? The crazy thing as well for me is that Max dropped from potentially having 12 points to 1. Now, in a championship where you're fighting against you're fighting in very clearly not the fastest car against 2 drivers who are consistently taking points out of each other. And I'm just going to double check what the overall standings are, right? For the like championship. Yeah, so Piastri has 186 and Lando has 176, right? So they're pretty neck and neck, to be fair.
It's only 10 points.
It's only 10 points in it, right? That's just over the amount of points that Max lost today. So it could come down to, at the end of the season, if it comes down to less than 10 points, this is what he has himself to blame for.
Yeah.
I think McLaren will run away with it before then. I think it will be pretty much by... Hold on, let me have a quick look at the schedule. This will be a fun game. So, bearing in mind the full schedule, if you want to try and find it, have a look, right? At what point do you think it will only be between Lando and Oscar for the championship? At what race do you think nobody else has a chance? It's only between those 2. I'm going round 19, United States.
Round 19?
Round 19, United States. It's only going to be one of the 2 of them, mathematically.
That's a long time away.
That's a long time away, but
I tell you what, I think I think it'll be sorted after the summer break.
Mathematically?
Not mathematically, like,
right,
we would still be in it mathematically. I mean, like, personally, we say, Look, mate, it's fucking 5 race wins. McLaren not going to lose 5 race wins.
Yeah, so that would be round 12. So that would be Silverstone. So that's in 3 races' time.
No. I'm just talking about when it, like, not mathematically.
Yeah. So just in general, you think it's over?
In general, I think after Hungary, so once that we come to the summer break, that's when I think it would just be like, it doesn't matter if Max has to win every single race and Lando and Oscar can't get 0 points.
Yeah.
I think that's when they were like, right, it's between the McLarens and that's it.
Yeah, I think it depends. Max usually does well at Belgium, so they could potentially see what happens there. But like, I genuinely think United States, once that Grand Prix wraps up, mathematically, it will only be Lando or Oscar. By the time we're
I don't know mathematically. Yeah, I don't know about mathematically, but I think after Hungary, I think Red Bull would be like, look, we're not going to win the constructors. We're probably not going to win the drivers. We'll just focus on 2026.
Fair. Which would kind of make sense, but I don't know how far this championship battle is going to go. We'll have to wait and see. But it would be crazy if, for example, now there's 10 points between it. It would be crazy if it came down to Abu Dhabi last round.
I mean, I think it will, because if you look at it, right, Lando's only won 2 races, right? Oscar has won 1, 2, 3, 5 races, right? So he's more than double the amount of race wins, yet there's only 10 points in it.
Yeah. And it's pretty much only because of Australia. Because Oscar scored barely any points in Australia.
Yeah, so I think it will go down to the last race of the season.
I don't think it will. I think it will be done by Brazil.
Nah.
I think Brazil... Still 3 races left.
Nah, I think it'll go on.
But I mean, let's wait and see.
I think Lando gets better towards the end of the season as well. So
let's wait and see. Because I mean, to be fair, Lando does, for some weird reason, he always messes up in Mexico and then redeems it at some point over that weekend as well. But I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. Because I just don't. I can't, at this point, it pains me to say, I can't see anyone beating Oscar. I can't see it. The man is a machine. I just can't. I hope Lando wins Great Britain. I'll put that out there. I hope Lando wins Great Britain. That's one of my wishes for the season. I want him to win the British Grand Prix. The vibes would be immaculate, right? But so, other than that, it's
I think it would go down to the last race of the season, because obviously shoulda, woulda, coulda, but Lando made one small mistake on his pole lap. That's why Oscar. Otherwise, I'd think like Lando would have put it on pole.
Yeah.
So we shall see. Anyway, we shall see.
We shall.
Time will tell.
Time will tell.
There will be an incident in one of these races. There will be a Spain 2016. There will be a Spain.
Maybe not together, but maybe frustration will boil. For example, let's say, because we've seen it before with McLaren, let's say they mess up the strategy and Oscar is in P6 or 7 and Lando is out leading the race. It could have been because of a strategy call or whatever it is. And that's a huge chunk of points taken out of a potential lead that Oscar has, right? Maybe Oscar, because, even robots malfunction at some point. Oscar goes in way too deep into a corner and spins out. Maybe he gets stuck in the gravel. Maybe there's a bad pit stop and the wheel doesn't stay locked on Lando's car. There are so many things and so many variables that can come into this. Weather being another one as well. Like we even saw, for example, we saw it in previous years where a crash in quali means that you can't get a car out for the race. You could potentially... Canada is known for having really...
What's the point you're trying to make, though? What's the point you're trying to make?
There are so many variables that...
Yeah, but I'm talking
of some sort of incident between the two of them that shakes things up. There has to be.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So I'm agreeing with you. Yeah, I'm just listing the different things that could come into play.
It doesn't even matter what it is. Like something will happen.
Really?
and then we'll be like, oh, how did McLaren actually handle this?
Mm.
And how did the drivers handle it? I think the only thing I want to say is Fernando finally got points.
Yes, finally,
finally got points.
Hats off, Fernando.
And his home race is good.
Yeah, if it's gonna happen anywhere, you kind of want it to happen here.
Yeah, he made some great moves. Basically, what he did was, I'm sure he set up to Liam. He goes, Liam, just batter the cars in front of me for like 2/3 of the race, just because he had incidents with Albon. Who else did he have an incident with? Kind of thing. I know. He was just like, just ram him, and then just let me have some points. Right, that's it.
Apparently.
So it's good to see you, Fernando, get some points on the board. I think maybe that's the thing. It's like Lance just don't turn up for the race, Fernando gets points, because obviously Lance has been carried. That's where the pain in his wrist has come from. Just carrying the team. I bet you it was his back. So no, don't say it was my back. Just say it was my hand.
Oh, it's my wrist. Yeah.
It was just carrying this team, right? And the other thing was Nico. Well, actually, the Saubers did really well over the race, him and Bortoleto, but Nico P6. Was it P6 in the end?
P5 in the end.
P5.
10 whole points for Sauber.
P5. And he overtook Hamilton.
Yeah.
So
on merit.
On
merit. So for me, Nico is my driver of the day.
You know what? I agree. You're
all right.
Nico
well, there we go.
We driver of the day.
We finally agree on something.
We'll send him like a printed out certificate.
Yeah.
Just to kick Sauber.
Yes.
Stake F1 team.
We'll send them something. But no, he was my driver of the day. And maybe before we wrap up, I just want to shout out, and I'd love to get your opinion as well. Isaac Hadjar has been seriously impressing me.
I think Isaac Hadjar is doing so well that he's going to have to refuse the new Red Bull seat.
Yeah.
He's going to be like, no, I don't want that seat.
I saw there was somebody did a meme of Tom Cruise from Tropic Thunder being like, fuck you, we don't negotiate with terrorists. And they're hanging up the phone pretending to be Isaac Hadjar with Red Bull call. So good. But no, I've been seriously impressed with him. I have to eat my words. Actually, I kind of do and I kind of don't. At the beginning of the season, I said, because I wasn't seriously impressed with not his performance with this, but with his attitude, because he was very sweary, very aggressive over the radio. Haven't seen that at all this season. Not once. He's seemingly matured over a winter break, and come out and been arguably one of the best rookies this year.
No, I reckon he is so far the rookie of the year.
Antonelli's in with a shout, to be fair, but Hadjar currently is the rookie of the year.
Even though that Racing Bull's done well, it's still a Racing Bull.
Yeah, I mean,
and considering where George,
just to put that,
considering where George has been putting that Mercedes, and Anthony was obviously very unlucky in the race today, I'd still give it to Hadjar based on like the car is not the quickest. But yeah, done really well. And like I said, it takes a lot when you're a rookie, it's your first race, and you crash out immediately.
Yeah.
Like it could have just set his whole season up and he could have just been poor from then. But if anything, it's like, glad I got that out of the way. And he's just performed to the point where like Christian's like, we could consider him, kind of thing. And Isaac's like, no, I like being in Formula One.
Leave me alone.
Yeah. So I like fighting for points.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like getting into Q3.
You're absolutely right. I've just realised, because obviously Bortoleto finished 12th, he still hasn't scored points all season, which is a bit of a shame, because he was in the point scoring positions at one point, or like knocking on the door of them.
I don't think he pitted under the safety car, did he?
I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, because I think it was him, Lawson, and I think Ocon or Behrman. I think they didn't pit, and that's like Fernando. Because I don't know, Nico joked Fernando was like, get these back markers quickly to the back of the queue so I could overtake them on my fresh tyres. I just want to say, I love Nico Rosberg on commentary, and cons. I know he like rubs a lot of people up the wrong way, but I'm glad that he's like, technically he doesn't need this. He doesn't need the money. He doesn't need the jobs. He just does not give a fuck. And I haven't seen the interview, but apparently he had a little bit of a beef with James Vowles or something that came up. So that was an interesting interview. And then just him just calling it as he saw it on commentary was pretty good. So yeah, Nico for more races.
Yeah, I quite like him as well. I obviously don't listen to the Sky Sports commentary. But
isn't it Sky Sports for the main feed on F1 TV?
Nope. It's the international feed. However, for F1 commentary this week, we had Alex Brundle, Alex Jakes, whatever. He's pretty good. And DC.
Okay.
So
that's interesting. I thought it was the Sky one.
No, so I can get the Sky one, but I prefer the F1 TV.
Okay, because the good thing is like he explains a lot about the cars. You know, he was saying like when you just come out of the pits, you've got like 2 laps where you really need to control your tires, otherwise you could ruin it for the rest of the stint. And then he's like, in the safety car, like they loosen their belts just to get a little bit more comfortable and stuff. I was like, there's some good insights into there.
I don't know. That's pretty interesting.
Yes.
I mean, to be fair, DC does the same. Not that I'm trying to compare the two, but like DC does similar things. He explains that sort of stuff too.
Yeah, obviously the last time he drove a car was 9 years ago, but having that, I'm going to say recent in inverted commas or quotes, whatever it is, having that recent perspective on the cars does help. I can see this happening. And he even said, he goes, like, about 2/3 throughout the race, like you'll watch, right? Their necks are going to start to give out.
Yeah.
Hot and it's horrible. And you could see, oh shit, yeah, he's right.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So, yeah. More Nico, please. More Nico.
I'm down. And if for some reason he's not wanted on Sky, get him on F1 TV. Happily have him there. Yeah, cool. Do we have anything else to talk about other than like looking forward to Canada? There's a little bit of a break. And yeah, Canada should be a good one. Don't really think there's too much.
Nope. I think a lot of the talking points is going to be around Max and his
it's sort of clash, let's say. It sort of did take the attention away from how well Piastri did over the entire weekend. So just a second to just say he absolutely fucking smashed it. Oscar did. So yeah, hats off to him as per usual. But yeah, other than that, I think we're all good, and we can probably finish things up, right?
Yep, that's all good. We will we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Alrighty then. Yeah, we will be back to hopefully preview Canada. We've been a bit sloppy recently with recordings, but we have been incredibly busy with holidays, stag do's, and fucking everything else. Weddings and stupid work.
We're still going.
We still keep on keeping on. We started this. We've been doing this now for 2 and a bit years. And
keep on keeping on.
We will keep on keeping on, and we have seen a couple of other podcasts fall by the wayside and not carry on doing stuff. And it's all.
I mean, I've got some meme ideas after the Max.
Yeah, I need to crank out some memes as well. Yeah. Let's keep on keeping on. And if you want to be part of the rest of our journey, please do be sure to like and follow the podcast on your preferred podcast platforms. Give this episode or the podcast a rating depending on your platform too. And we will see you in the next one.
See ya.
How do you say like see you next time in like French? Because I mean that's with it. Au revoir? No. How does that? Yeah. But how do you say goodbye in Spanish? What's that?
Adios.
Adios. There we go. We'll end on adios. My God, that was a mouthful. Adios.